NFL Week 4 is here, and we got a huge show. Let's talk some football. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven. Week 4 is here, baby. That's right. I am excited. Time is flying. I feel like we just started the season, but we pretty much broke even in 2 of the first 3 weeks and then had one losing week. We are due for just one heck of a week, and I think that comes this weekend. So before we get into all the info and all that stuff, just a quick reminder, Outlier, that link is below, guys. If you are not using Outlier, you're missing out. It's a one-stop shop for all your betting research. It gives you so much data, whether you want to know where the money's coming in on a game, you want to know player props, what they've done last 5, last 10. You guys have seen it. We've shown it in a ton of our videos. It is the way to go if you want to be a profitable bettor long-term. So go click that link below and you get a 7-day free trial. So anyways, the trends now. Let's get back into this video. The Trends had their first winning week last week. They went 6-3, including a plus 135 winner on the Broncos scoring first, if you just blindly tailed that trend that we talked about. So we'll have more trends, of course, again this week. But if you're looking for NFL player props, that video will be out Friday night. We do not do player props in the Thursday night video. So let's get right into it. And that means it's time for a fun fact. Here we go. Jim Harbaugh has more rushing yards than Bo Jackson. That's wild. 2,787 to 2,782. Harbaugh had 561 carries to Bo Jackson's 515. I had no idea. Harbaugh is not a running back, by the way. He is a quarterback. So in this video, we are going to recap Thursday and what a frustrating loss that was with Singletary. But we'll go over that in just a bit. We'll talk those Week 4 trends as well as other information to help you guys out. And then I'll give you my 3 best bets for Week 4. And then a trends parlay that it's pretty juicy, but I like it. And that's we'll explain what that is exactly as well. And then we'll finish it a little different this time. We're going to give you some spreads that I like. So I'm going to mention 3 different spreads. I'm trying to stay away from spreads this week in regards to official bets because it just hasn't gone well the first couple weeks. So I'm trying to make some adjustments. One of these still may be added, but just some more games to talk through and kind of get your ideas as well, and maybe just give you some more info. So, and then of course, we will wrap it up with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as we're on our way to 29,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the support. This is our third season, a third NFL season on the channel. And of course, like I mentioned, we talk MLB and NBA, and NHL is coming soon to the channel. So we're excited. But anyways, let's get it started. And that means it's recap time. Welcome to the frustrating part of sports betting, because I sat down and looked at this bet for a while. I was so close to going CeeDee Lamb over his regular yards, and of course I got cute with it. I didn't think Singletary would have a hard time getting 40 yards, but of course he averaged 1.7 yards per carry versus what was the worst run defense in the league. The O-line was horrendous at opening up holes. I just blew it. I wasted CeeDee Lamb, and because I predicted that right, I thought he'd have a big game, and he sure did. But it didn't matter, unfortunately. So that's just how it goes. But there's the loss. There is the season record. Like I said, that week 2 just absolutely crushed us. And now it's time to get back on track. We are still early week 4, but let's get back into it. So with all that said, it is now time for the week 4 trends. All right, let's get into it. We got week 4 trends and some additional info. We got 2 pages. Here we go. Steelers games have an average combined score of 25.6 points per game. The total in that game is 40. Vikings gone under the first half total in 15 of the last 20. That's impressive. The total is 21.5 for that first half. Broncos covered the first quarter spread in 17 of the last 22. They are plus 2.5 in the first quarter. Texans 5-1 ATS. That's against the spread in their last 6 games after a loss. Houston minus 6.5 against the Jags. And then we got Saints under an 18 of their last 24 divisional matchups. That total is 42.5. Chicago under in 10 of the last 13. And that total is 41. But not just that, they've also held 9 straight opponents to 21 points or less. Their defense is just being completely wasted right now by their offense. And then Eagles 7-15 against the spread last 22 games in the first half. If you tail that one or fade the Eagles, you got Tampa Bay plus a half in the first half. And then Bengals have gone over in 7 of the last 9 games because they can't play defense. That total is 47. And then 49ers 1-7 ATS in their last 8 home games. Huge favorites this weekend against the Patriots. Commanders allowed 28 plus points in 9 of the last 12 road games. That is horrendous, guys. That's just not good at all. 26.5 is this Cardinals team total. And then Chiefs 8-1 ATS last 9 games. How about that? We always think of the Chiefs as a team that just doesn't cover, but they find ways to win. They're 8-1 against the spread last 9. They are a 7-point favorite against the Chargers. And then Vegas gone under their team total in 14 of the last 20. That's not good. Team total is 19.5. And then Bills over their team total in all 3 games because of the number one offense so far through the first 3 weeks. Their team total is only 22.5 though. And then 3-0 teams listed as an underdog in the 4th game. You don't see it often, but lately 2-9 straight up and 3-7-1 against the spread. So they're, even though they're 3-0, they're listed as an underdog. They're listed that way for a reason. Usually they are 3-7-1 against the spread. That's Seattle, Buffalo, and Minnesota. All 3-0 teams, all underdogs this weekend. So those are all the trends that we're going to count towards the trends official record. But now let's check out page 2. And there we go. We start out with the teams coming off an upset win as a dog of 6+ points and are a dog again of 6+ points, 24-59 against the spread. That is just not good. Underdogs of 6+ points are now 8-5 straight up, 12-1 against the spread. The underdogs are absolutely dominating. Not just that, they're covering by 9.3 points per game. And then this is just wild, guys. The underdogs of 7 or more points this year are 4-0 straight up. Not even, they don't need the spread. They don't need the points. They just win the game outright. That's the first time since 1956 that dogs of 7+ points are even above 500 straight up through 3 weeks. I know these stats are getting deep, but still, it's not just over 500. They're 4-0. They just win every game. For the first time in over 70 years, the biggest underdog in each of the first 3 weeks has all won outright. So you take the biggest underdog in each week, Washington plus 7.5, Vegas plus 9, and New England plus 8. 2 of those were against the Bengals. But if you take each one, they're 3-0. That's just wild that that's happened. Betting public, 51% or more of tickets is now 17-30-1 ATS. Second worst record since 2003. The betting public is losing quite a bit so far. Kirk Cousins, 14-26 ATS playing in indoor games the last 5 years. 3-0 teams listed as a dog in the 4th game. We already talked about that one, actually. And then the Bengals are the 8th team in the last decade to be a road favorite in their 4th game after starting 0-3. So let me just say that again. They are the 8th team in the last decade to start out 0-3 and go on the road in week 4 and be a favorite. Those teams, 8-0 straight up, 5-1-2 against the spread. That's just some more info. Guys, that's a lot of info. Appreciate you guys listening to me. I love digging into all the stats and the numbers as well. But as you saw, that's last season's record for the Trends. And the Trends just had their first winning week, 16-20 so far this year. This is just if you blindly tail them. Of course, I always recommend doing your own research. This is just a part of the handicap and also pretty fun to talk about. So that's the week 4 trends. And now it is time for the best bets. All right, this first one takes us out to the ATL where the Falcons host the New Orleans Saints in an NFC South showdown. Falcons minus 2.5. Total in this game is 42.5. And speaking of the total, give me it. I'm taking the under 42.5 at minus 115 on FanDuel. This is a half unit play. The other plays are going to be 1 unit total, but this is going to be a half unit play. This opened around 44. It's gotten bet down for a reason. It's now down to 42.5. So let's first talk. There's a ton of injuries in this game, guys. First of all, Alvin and the Chipmunks Kamara has barely practiced all week. He has multiple injuries that he's dealing with. There's a very good chance he does not play. Starting guard Ruiz has not practiced yet. Linebacker Demario Davis. The Ruiz one is hurtful because the Saints don't have a ton of talent on the offensive line, in my opinion. Falcons, Bijan Robinson is questionable. They just sent Dahlman to the IR. He is a very, very good offensive lineman, one of the better ones in the league, and they just lost him. How about offensive tackle Caleb McGarry has not practiced all week. It doesn't look like he's going to play. They're going to be missing 2 key pieces on the offensive line, and obviously, if you're a Falcons fan, you know you need that offensive line to play well because that's kind of what they hang their hat on. But O-line's banged up. Kamara may not play. That's part of the reason why I like this under. But also that trend you saw, Saints, if you watch their games in the division, guys, they just play low-scoring games. They're under an 18 of the last 24 divisional games. And the Saints offense, if you don't know already, the Saints play at the slowest pace in the NFL. And here's the deal. If they struggle to run the ball with Kamara, and Kamara might not even be the guy, I think it's Jamal Williams, which is going to make it a lot harder. Kamara is a special talent. But if they have linemen out, if they don't have Kamara, and they cannot establish the run, they are going to struggle. It makes them very one-dimensional, which isn't a good thing for Derek Carr. You saw it last week. Kamara only averaged 3.3 yards per carry. Saints only scored 12 freaking points. Carr was 14 of 25 with 142 yards. Vic Fangio, the Eagles defense, they figured out a way to stop them. And I think the Falcons defense can do that. This Falcons defense, they have great safeties. We've talked about it before. I think they can slow down the vertical threat of Shaheed. Olave, I don't know if he's going to exactly be shadowed by AJ Terrell, but Olave could have a decent game. But other than that, they just don't have a ton of weapons if they can't run the ball very well. Falcons allowing the ninth fewest yards per carry, also at 4.1 yards per carry. I think they have a decent matchup here at home against a banged up Saints O line, so I think they can slow them down. Now let's talk the Falcons offense. They played a top 5 fastest pace through 3 weeks, so it's going to be interesting to see who controls the pace here. But this offense is still a work in progress. You guys have seen it. They can move the ball a little bit, but they really struggle in the red zone. They've scored a touchdown on only 44% of red zone trips now. And if they just want to keep kicking field goals, that would be great for this under. But you can see that obviously they're only averaging 16.3 points per game so far this year. And they struggled to run the ball last week. Now Bijan Robinson is questionable, which doesn't help. But Cousins, Pitts, and Drake London, let's just say what it is. They haven't proved they can just carry an offense and just dominate up and down the field, scoring touchdowns, and just really maintaining drives. You haven't seen it. You've seen little flashes here and there. But now they're facing a Saints defense. They played well so far this season. Do I think they're going to be elite or anything throughout the whole year? Probably not. But they've yet to allow a team to even score 20 points through 3 weeks. And obviously, divisional matchups, you know your opponent even better. The only thing they really struggled with last week was containing Saquon Barkley. That's a problem, obviously. But that he's a different beast. He is quite the stud. But Saints are tied for fourth in sacks. They have 11 on the season. With the Falcons missing 2 offensive linemen and 2 very good ones, I think they can get to Cousins here, which you don't want Cousins to be pressured all the time and have to be worrying about his injury and all that he's coming back from. It's not going to be pretty. So I think we're going to get some pressure on quarterbacks. And then I think both teams just struggle a little bit on the ground here. So when you have this many injuries to O-lines, usually that means it's really tough to move the ball and really get touchdowns and go up and down the field. So I think we see a classic NFC South type game where it's 2014, 17-14, something like that. So give me the under 42.5 as my first best bet. All right, we head out to Carolina where the Panthers host the 0-3 Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals minus 4.5 total in this game, 46.5. We're going with another total, guys. I told you I've been really focusing on totals and staying away from spreads this weekend a little bit. And I love this bet. This is a 1-unit play over 46.5 at minus 110 in this game. It looks like the hurricane that's running through that down south is going to be missing this. It's going to be at least gone by game time. They should have good weather. It's a hurricane. I don't know whether. Maybe it'll change, but as of right now, it looks like we're going to have good weather for this game. But just something to keep an eye on. So let's talk about this game. So if we have decent weather, obviously I think these offenses can score because mostly these defenses really struggle. But let's talk Bengals offense versus the Panthers defense so far. And by the way, we took the over in the Panthers game last week against the Raiders, and they just absolutely blew it out of the water. It was one of the easiest wins we've had all year, thanks to Andy Dalton being back. But since their usual week 1 dud that they put up 25 and 33 points in the last 2 weeks, and they looked really good on Monday Night Football. 324 yards for Burrow, 3 touchdowns. Yes, it was against the Commanders, but still good to see. Passing game is really heated up. I'm going to expect more from T. Higgins in this one, his second game back as well. But the Bengals have struggled to run the ball, I'm not going to lie. But the Panthers defense, 28th in rushing yards allowed, dead last on quarterback pressure rate, bottom 5 defending the pass, and they're also bottom 10 in defending the run. Guys, they're just bad in general. They're just not a good defense at all. Anytime you see a low total with a Panthers game, the only way you think it really goes under is if their offense puts up 5 points. They put up like 6, 7, 10 points, but this is not that same offense. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Their defense has been really bad in the red zone, the Panthers, and that's what you love to see. Opponents have made 7 trips to the red zone and turned 8 of those into touchdowns. They struggle. That is the second worst in the league. Burrow should have absolutely all day to throw in this game. I mean, he could probably bring some popcorn back there. They don't get any pressure at all. And he may get some help from the run game. Even if he gets a little bit of help from the run game, that's going to really open things up even more for the Bengals. So I like them to score a lot of points. If we talk this Panthers offense, night and day with a veteran quarterback and Andy Dalton. It's not necessarily that Andy Dalton is just the next coming of Joe Montana. It's just that he's a normal quarterback. He actually makes good decisions. It's all you have to do because they have a good pass blocking offensive line. They have a good system in place. They got some weapons. You just couldn't see any of that with Bryce Young at quarterback. And they were a well-oiled machine last week. Let's just face it. I don't expect them to put over 30 points up every single week, but they are a much better offense. Dalton last week, 70.3% completion percentage, 8.6 yards per attempt. And obviously, having a passing game helps open up the run game because not everyone's just focused on your run like they were with Bryce Young. Chuba Hubbard had 114 rush yards last week, averaged 5.4 yards per carry, and now they face a Bengals defense that's just as bad, if not worse. Like, this is a bad defense the Bengals are putting out there right now. And this Bengals team also struggles to get to the quarterback. And when they don't get pressure on the quarterback, they have allowed 8.2 pass yards per attempt and an 82.1% completion percentage. So when the opposing quarterback has a clean pocket, not getting pressured, they are giving up an 82% completion rate. Bottom 5 in the league, obviously. It's just absolutely horrendous. They just allowed Jaden Daniels to go 21 for 23. He's a rookie. In his third game, he went 21 for 23. Their defense makes life really easy on opposing quarterbacks, that's for sure. And they just don't have the talent this year. Let's face it. They just flat out do not. So in this one, we get two defenses that are absolutely allergic to putting pressure on the quarterback. Books just did not adjust enough, in my opinion, to Bryce Young being out of the game. Again, it's not because Andy Dalton is a top 5 quarterback, but he's going to be good enough to put up some points here. I think this line should honestly be like close to 50, probably right around there. So I see this game being in the 50s. All I need is 47 out of these. I could get 27-20 and still cash this bet. So give me over 46.5 as my second best bet. All right, before we get to this third best bet, Ryan did mention I may have said the red zone part wrong in the last segment, but the Panthers' opponents have gone to the red zone 9 times against them, and they've scored 8 touchdowns. Just wanted to clear that up in case I said that wrong. But in this one, we are heading out to the desert. The Cardinals hosting the Washington Commanders. Cardinals minus 3.5. Total in this game is 50. There's a few bets that I absolutely loved, and all has to do with scoring a lot of points. So I'm going to give you 2 half-unit plays to make a 1 unit. You do what you want with it. We're just going to talk through this, but I see a lot of points. Here we go. The first bet, these are 2 separate ones. Both teams to score 20 or more points at minus 125 on Bet365, half-unit play. And then the Cardinals team total over 26.5 at minus 118 on DraftKings, also for a half unit. I also love the over 50, and I could have thrown that in for a half unit if I just want to triple up. I just think we see a lot of points. Did I mention also the Commanders have allowed 28 or more points in 9 of the last 12 road games? It's been bad. But now let's talk both teams to score 20 or more points, or really just obviously this kind of goes with the second bet as well. But both of these offenses can score. We've seen it. Commanders averaging 26.3 per game. Cardinals averaging 27.3. What I love about these two offenses is that every single play these quarterbacks have have the ball in their hand, they can extend the play. We have Kyler Murray versus Jaden Daniels, 2 very athletic quarterbacks that know how to get out of the pocket if there is any pressure and either run themselves or find wide receivers downfield as well. These two teams have combined to score 20 or more points in 5 of the 6 games so far. Cardinals offense, their only struggle was last week versus the Lions. But the big reason is the Lions are elite against the run. And the Cardinals really do, whether you know it or not, they really rely on James Conner in that running game. And that's what they feed off of to work into the passing game. But the Lions just did not allow it to happen. Cardinals struggle a little bit as they move the ball a little, but they just struggle once they got downfield. But the Commanders are nowhere near the Lions when it comes to run defense. I expect a good game from James Conner here. The Commanders are allowing the 4th highest yards per rush attempt at 5.1 yards per carry. I think Marvin Harrison, Kyler, and these boys should be able to put up some points, feeding off James Conner having a good game on the ground. And then Commanders offense improving every single week. You can see it. Daniels is a problem. He is a real problem, especially if you can't pressure him. He didn't get pressured at all by that Bengals defense. Cardinals bottom 7 defense when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback, so he should have some time here as well. Cardinals struggled against the only mobile quarterback they faced, which was Josh Allen. After that, in week 1, they faced 2 absolute statues, and I mean statues, in Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. So the bottom line in this one, guys, I see a ton of points, and 20 or more is not asking a lot. I mean, like you see, the Cardinals team total is 26.5, and the Commanders is just a little bit under that. These two defenses stink. These two offenses have 2 very athletic quarterbacks that I think can really make things happen in this game. I think we get into the 50s easy. Like I said, I like the over in the full game as well. And then the second best bet, I mean, I don't need to say much more about it, but Cardinals team total over 26.5. So this one, obviously, I need them to score 27 or more. The Commanders can't stop anyone. You guys know that. They've allowed 255 pass yards per game, second to last in the league. 2 of those 3 matchups also were against Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield. Not exactly world beaters. Baker's okay. Daniel Jones is not that great. But I think the Cards absolutely light up the scoreboard in this one. We saw them do it already against the Rams. So those are my 2 bets. Give me both teams to score 20 or more points at only minus 125. I'm surprised by those odds. I thought that'd be like minus 150, minus 160 when you have a total of 50. And then the second best bet, Cardinals team total over 26.5. I'm going to split it up because I just loved them both. I literally couldn't pick one. And I think, if the Cardinals are over 20, I think they're going to get 27 or more. I think they can light up this Commanders team and what could be kind of a letdown spot on the road after primetime game. So those are my two best bets in this game. And now let's check out the trends parlay. All right, it's time for that trends parlay. That's right. You see it right there, plus 421. We got a juicy one. We're going to take it straight from all those trends that we showed early in the video. Give me the Bills team total over 20.5, the Bucks plus a half in the first half, and the Rams team total under 20.5. So let's start out. Bills team total over 20.5. The trend here is that we saw earlier, they're over their team total in all three games. Pretty easy trend. I took it down to 20.5 though. You could play it. It's juicy at 20.5. But in a parlay, I'm just going to do it. You could play it to 22.5, whatever you want. But here, that's what we're going to go here. Bills offense, if you don't know, guys, they've looked like the number one offense in the league because they have been. They're just unbelievable, spreading the ball around. Josh Allen looks like an absolute stud, the MVP of the league. He's not trying to force feed the ball to any number one wide receiver or anything. It is really hard to defend when you have an offense like that. So, as a sports fan, whether you nothing to do with betting, it's absolutely beautiful to watch. To be honest with you, he's now facing the Ravens, who really struggled versus the pass this year. They just flat out have, and they're not used to doing that. Losing Mike McDonald as their defensive coordinator really hurt, which we expected as a first-time defensive coordinator replacing him. I think the Bills get to 21 here. I'm going to keep these short. They do average 37.3 points per game, number one in the league. I think they can get to 21 in this one. So. Second one, Bucks plus a half in the first half. The trend here is the Eagles suck in the first half. They're 7-15 against the spread the last 22 games in the first half. I'm not a big first half bettor, but I do think the Bucks can come out strong here after the embarrassment last week. Eagles may be missing both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. The only way the Eagles can consistently move the ball is with Saquon Barkley. Hopefully Vita Vea plays, but the Bucks are known for being a pretty good run defense. So if they can slow him down in the first half, they're going to struggle to score. You've seen this Eagles offense with Jalen Hurts, who just cannot stop turning the ball over. I think they can slow them down, and Baker can get some points on the board. So I like this one in the first half. And the third one, Rams team total under 20.5. The trend here, the Bears have held 9 straight opponents to 21 points or less. Technically, they could still do that at 21. I know I have a team total of 20.5. But the Bears defense has been really good. You could take under 21.5 if you want also. But this defense, like we talked about already in this video, I mean, they're being wasted by their offense. To be honest with you, the Bears have allowed 17.7 points per game, which is impressive considering their offense can't stay on the field. So this Bears team has had to be on the field a little bit more than they should be. But it is really hard for me to imagine a banged up Rams offense coming off a huge comeback win against the 49ers in a very big letdown spot are going to come into Chicago in a cold, or at least colder atmosphere and score 21 or more points. I just don't see it. No Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua. They've lost a lot of offensive linemen. I think the Bears put the clamps down here. And honestly, you'll hear about my opinion on this game in just a little bit as well. But I think the Rams stay under their team total as well as the Bucks plus a half in the first half and the Bills team total over 20.5. That is the trends parlay. I'm throwing a half unit on it. Again, it's not official for the channel or anything, but I want to get a winner. So that's the trends parlay. But before we get out of here, let's talk the spreads that I like for week 4. All right, before we get to those spreads, we got to talk Bet365 first. They have a great promotion. We've talked about it before, guys. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. It does not matter what happens with that $5. If you're in a legal state, you have no reason not to sign up. Honestly, this is a great way to start your account. And also, I always recommend multiple sports books so you can get the best value, the best odds, and things like that. So the way you join, click the link below in the description. It's really quick to sign up, and then it gives you that promotion right then and there. It works as a promo code. So go set it up with Bet365. Of course, you must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, back to the video. All right, I talked about how spreads are something I'm trying to stay away from a little bit this weekend just because the first few weeks just have not worked out so far. I know they'll turn around, but I still want to talk some spreads. I know some of you out there just love to bet spreads, and I like to too, but I'm just going to make sure I play it safe a little bit. But these are 3 that I actually like this week, and I just want to talk through them. Obviously, fade them if you want, tail them, whatever you want, but it's just something to give you guys more info. This first one, it's a teaser, so it's technically not just a straight spread. I love this 6-point teaser. Vikings plus 9 and Bills plus 8.5 at minus 120 on DraftKings. You click on both spreads, the normal spreads, and then you choose instead of parlay, you pick teaser. It should be minus 120, and it's a 6-point teaser as well if you're looking to do that on DraftKings. But let's talk about this one. If I were to add a play, this is probably the one I would add the most. But Vikings plus 9, We're just going to talk briefly about it. They're playing what it looks like to be Jordan Love coming back, which I think is a good thing. He's going to be hobbled. And I've really come around to this Vikings defense. My goodness, are they freaking good. They are a top 3 defense in the NFL. That's what they look like right now. Can they hold on to it? I don't know. They added a ton of pieces, and they seem to be playing really well. And they beat down some really good offenses already. They're not just playing, the weakest offenses so far. It's a divisional game, which usually means they stay close. Aaron Jones' revenge game. Of course, that's important, playing as the old team. But when you have a great defense like Minnesota does, it's really hard to get blown out. You're always going to stay in the game. I think the Vikings keep this one close, especially if Jordan Love is not moving very well, because the Minnesota Vikings will get pressure on him. And I think they got a chance to win this game. So I love the Vikings just +9. That's all I need. Second leg, Bills +8.5. This is insane. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong by 1 game, but I went back. The Bills haven't lost by 2 scores since 2020. I mean, you want to just talk about Josh Allen? They haven't lost by 2 scores since 2020. This is an insane stat. I cannot imagine them getting blown out by a Ravens team who, let's just face it, does not know how to blow out teams. Even if they somehow play well in the first 3 quarters, they always allow that big comeback at the end. You saw it again last week. So they're just notorious for letting teams come back in the game. I think Allen's going to be able to spread the ball around here. Like I said, they have an elite offense. This defensive coordinator is still not pushing all the right buttons there in Baltimore. Obviously, it's only his first 3 games ever as a defensive coordinator. So I'm just not as impressed by the Ravens defense as I have been in the past. Their O-line struggles with the Ravens as well. They're going to have their hands full with this Bills defensive line as well. I just like this Bills team. Obviously, I think they win. A lot of people are betting against them this weekend. It's going to be hard in Baltimore. Not everyone can just go undefeated, so we'll see. But I just need the Bills +8.5. They could lose by 8 points somehow to the Ravens, and we still cash this. So Vikings +9, Bills +8.5 is my first spread that I like. Again, these are not official bets. These are just me talking through them. Maybe they do get added, or one does. Second one, Chargers +7. Yuck. Yuck. I get it. It's scary. It's the Chiefs. But the Chargers have played the Chiefs really well. I know Herbert may not play, which if it's Taylor Heineke, I honestly don't mind. I don't mind watching him play. He'll bring another element, a little bit more mobile and things like that. Not saying he is Justin Herbert or anything. But for a divisional matchup that's usually played pretty close, +7 is quite a bit. 3 of the last 4 meetings between these teams have been by 3 or less points. Different head coaches, things like that. But this is also the first time the Chargers have had a legitimate head coach in quite some time, and Mr. Jimbo. So Chargers +7. I know it's scary. It's one of those games where the public's going to be pounding the Chiefs to just blow them out. This is what I like. I do like the teaser a little bit more. But third one, let's keep getting ugly. The Chicago Bears. The Bears -2.5. I don't love it at 3. But 2.5, obviously that's a big key number in football, but it's a big letdown spot for the Rams. We've talked about it before this video, but they had that huge comeback versus the rival 49ers. Yes, the Bears are 0-3. Yes, they have struggled on offense, and yet they are favorites in this game. There's a reason for it, I believe. So, like I mentioned, the trends parlay, I really don't see how the Rams move the ball here with the Bears holding 9 straight opponents to 21 points or less. A bunch of backup receivers and backup offensive linemen that have to go on the road in Chicago. Not exactly 85 degrees in sunny LA. So I just think it's going to be tough pickings for them. It just comes down to, can Caleb Williams in this offense freaking do something? DeAndre Swift looks ugly, doesn't know how to hit holes, doesn't know what he's doing. The offensive line has been bad. Of course, that's the Bears management, but I think they find a way to win this game. I don't know how. Well, I did kind of explain how, but in general, their offense just has to do enough here to not waste another good defensive performance. So I like the Bears -2.5 as another spread. So those are the 3 spreads I like, just to kind of help you out. Leave a comment below if you hate one of them. That's fine. Just be respectful. But if you want to fade them, that's also fine. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm just trying to give you guys as much info as possible. So that's what I got for some spreads. The trends parlay, the 3 best bets, and all those trends and info for week 4. I'm ready to roll again. The player props will be out on Friday night. But before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, there they are. Week 4 best bets, under 42.5 in the Saints and Falcons game. That's a half unit play for me. Then the over 46.5 Bengals Panthers. That's a 1 unit play. Cardinals team total over 26.5 for a half unit. Splitting that with another bet in the same game, Washington, Arizona. Both teams to score 20 or more points. That's -125 on Bet365. And then that big juicy trends parlay. Bills team total over 20.5. Bucks +0.5 in the first half. And Rams team total under 20.5 for +421 for a half unit. Again, not official, but I'm going to sprinkle some money on it. Let's try to get a winner. So Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Leave a comment below with your favorite bets of the weekend. And again, the player props will be out on Friday night. Looking forward to that video as well. But thanks again for the support. Hope you have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.